Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guests on this next interview. After years of post-Brexit chill, the UK and EU appears to be turning a corner. At a landmark summit in London, leaders agreed on a threefold pact: easing trade and visa friction, strengthening joint foreign policy messaging, and deepening defense cooperation, including UK access to EU arms procurement. Now, some are calling it a historic reset. Joining us today on TVP World to unpack this agreement is Jarosław Gryz, a political scientist at War Studies Universities, whose expertise in European security and political dynamics make him a key voice in understanding the wider implications of this diplomatic breakthrough. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
So today we are examining this kind of landmark agreement between EU and the UK. Can you first help us underline how important this is and how does it compare to previous attempts at UK-EU rapprochement?
Well, let's have in mind firstly that today's Prime Minister of United Kingdom, the Keir Starmer, when he took the position, he claimed that he would like to re-establish the relations between the United Kingdom and the European Union. And one of the first visits he paid was to Brussels. So due to that, he is following a path of his politics, which he announced very early at the early stage of his, let's say, presidency.
And when it comes to the defense aspect, do you see a lot of breakthrough in that?
Well, let's have in mind that that area was uncovered by the cooperation since the United Kingdom broke out of the European Union. Through the situation we have on our eastern flank, through the situation we have in the Ukraine, it was a time for creating a new approach and creating new formula of policy within the European Union and out of the European Union towards the situation in the surrounding areas, including the Ukraine.
And we're also looking at the trade aspect as well. Things like fisheries are actually also involved in this conversation. So one can't help but wonder, do you think this is sort of a foot in the door sort of trade agreement, or do you think this is actually already substantial enough in and of itself to see a better trade relation between the two entities?
Well, I think that is essential for the both entities due to the fact that we have had already the limits for the fishermen, but they were discussed year to year. So from that perspective, it creates a quite new approach because it was agreed that for the 12 years, this agreement will last. And what is more, it's also opening the issues of the transfer of the goods between the United Kingdom and the Europe, the food goods. So that is an element which can establish the whole formula of contacts in context of the economics, at least in the branch of the agriculture.
Now, going back to that defense pact, in practical terms, what does it mean, especially regarding armed procurement access? How is that going to change the dynamics of a UK-EU joint kind of defense procurement, things like that?
Well, let's have in mind that the Europeans would like to start with the new programs. And those new programs will refer to quite new technologies in which United Kingdoms already have the experience, including the rocketry. So from the perspective of the Europeans, it's a very reliable partner in context of the development and creation of the disruptive technologies referring to the military affairs.
And do you think that is going to be able to kind of pave way for broader military cooperation between EU and the UK?
I think that yes, due to the fact that we should have in mind that even the states from European Union, like the Germany, last time made a special agreement with the United Kingdom, and that agreement also covered the issues of the military cooperation. So from that perspective, we can take a look at the ties which are being bounded between the European Union and the European Union states. So we should recognize that kind of cooperation both on the institutional level and at the state level. So from that perspective, it creates a quite new situation and quite new context of the cooperation between the United Kingdom and the European Union, as well as the European Union individual states.
Do you think this is an extension of the coalition of the whaling that kind of eventually led to this more historic landmark agreement?
Well, let's see. I will not tell at the moment that this coalition will have, let's say, a chance to follow its path, but it's a good sign for creating something new and following that.
Right. So, can you help us understand maybe whether or not there's any relation there, or do you think these are two kind of separate sort of entity and separate sort of bill?
No, that's one of the elements which is being on the table and which are being followed. But it's, I think, too early to estimate whether it will succeed or not. We will have a chance to take a look at least till the end of this year.
Sure, we'll have to see how that unfolds. But in the meantime, can you help us understand also how the British people are perceiving this landmark summit in London, as well as the agreement of these pacts? Because we do see a little bit of political polarization here, with one side welcoming it and the other kind of feel like being betrayed for having kind of walked back on Brexit.
Well, let's have in mind that the Brexit itself took place 5 years ago. And it was a strong, let's say, coalition of those who wanted to do the Brexit. And but there's something what is in context of the rationality, how to create the proper cooperation between the United Kingdom and the European Union, and how to make it not omitting the Brexit, but creating, let's say, a path of cooperation which will give benefits for the both sides. And here is the open question: how to manage it. Today, Prime Minister Keir Starmer says that he knows how to do it and he knows how to follow that. From the other hand, he meets the criticism, even within his own party. But I think that the outcomes of the agreement, if we will be seen in the terms of the benefits, will lead to that kind of cooperation he started.
Right, let's take a look at this open question that you posed about how to manage it, because, well, we're curious also here observing this whole situation and wondering what option do the UK have if not for EU? Do they just cooperate with America, or do you think they could pursue any sort of cooperation that does not tie their whole economy that much to the Union and still be able to function somehow?
Well, I think that the United Kingdom seeks for the many paths of cooperation with many partners. And what do the actual Prime Minister? He is doing that with the success, having in mind that he have had some agreements with the United States and India in the last time, as well with the Germany. So he creates a multipolar formula of cooperation with many partners, which will bring benefits for those who are cooperating with United Kingdom. So from that perspective, it's very rational, and from the perspective, very effective policy he started to follow.
Now, do you think that the easing of these visa and trade friction is also kind of maybe a quiet, subtle admission that the Brexit cost is actually perhaps a little too high?
Well, the people and the issues which are being in the connections with people always matters. Let's have in mind why the Brexit took place. It was the matter of the migration, and it was a matter how to handle the migration with the European Union. So the issues of people, the migrations are very important and still are very important. Due to the fact that this issue wasn't solved within the European Union since 2015 till now. So those, let's say, obligations which were taken into context of the politics are still valid in terms of the solutions. And I think that the role of United Kingdom may somehow affect the European Union posture in the context of the migration processes, and will also get an impact on them.
Right. Now, I'm also curious about the most current meeting of defense ministers in Brussels, which, well, they talk extensively about a applying more sanctions on Russia. Do you think going forward the UK will also follow suit and kind of target Russia with these type of sanctions in a more unified manner?
Let's have in mind that since the second phase of the war between Russia and the Ukraine, the United Kingdom took a stand as the other partners from NATO, and having in mind that kind of cooperation we observed with the United States and the European partners, I think that yes, the United Kingdom will follow that path and will be one of, let's say, a coalition which brought new sanctions and which follows a common manner of the politics toward the Russian Federation.
Right. And last but not least, of course, a lot of the mood when it comes to this is very celebratory, but wondering also, do you think that this new cooperation is the first step towards a deeper political alignment, or do you think it's more of a pragmatic arrangement?
One do not exclude the other, let's say, explanation. I think that both elements are valid and they are impacting the formula of the politics and the formula of cooperation. Very important will be the outcome of the war between Russia and the Ukraine. That is, I would say that the crucial element which will have an impact on the politics, on the solutions, and on the future development of situation, as well the management of it.
Right, so there's still a lot at play when it comes to the dynamics, but in the meantime, thank you so much for your input and insight, and thanks for being with us on TVP World.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.